Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wake the hell up, turn the volume way up, because we've got a bonus episode this week for the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kobold, joined by Max Faulkner, and returning, been about a year, our guy from Philly, East Coast representative, Dan McNamara. Dan, what's going on, man?
Yo, what is up? Pumped to be back. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, good to have you back, man. I see that Eagles shirt, that Eagles green already. Max, tell the people why we're doing a little bonus episode this week.
Oh, because we have 2 episodes coming up this week. That's why, Cold Breeze. We're going to be talking about the tight ends, baby, for fantasy football. We were just talking about this before we even clicked record that, hey, this could be a make or break in your season, okay? You got one of these top tight ends in your fantasy football lineup, you could win. You could win the damn thing. Tight end is just, it's so damn important because if you have the difference between a guy that can at least give you 12 points compared to a goose, like Goose-Secchi, he won't be called again. He won't be called again today. I'll say that much.
That's the only shout out for Mike Goose-Secchi today, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. If you have a good tight end, say like a Travis Kelce, like my wife Kelly has had for the last half decade, that's a free square in bingo. That's a free square in bingo compared to, like you said, guys that you're throwing out there giving you possible gooses. Dan, what's your thoughts overall on the tight end position coming up for this season?
Concern. I think that's usually my word when I come on here and talk about Philly sports. But with these tight ends this year, it's a scary ocean that you're diving into. And personally, I think that there is a lot of regression coming for some of these big names, and it's scary. You know, the Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce 1-2. It's not like that this year, and who knows what it's like after those top 5 picks. It's just a scary ocean. I don't want to dive into it. I want to be near the top and get somebody I can plug and forget about it for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Max, what was your overall thoughts when you were going through these rankings here for this season?
My goodness. I put down 10 tight ends, and I was like, you know what? After 6, I'm not happy. I'm not happy after 6. It was grueling because you made us do 20. We did a top 20, everybody. There's 32 teams in the NFL. I struggled with a top 20. Gosh.
Yeah. Some tough names on that list for sure. Some tough names on that list. But boys, like we said, we don't have any Achilles getting ripped, any ACLs getting torn, no contract talks being done for guys holding out. So there's no highlights to talk about today. So let's just get right into this tight end countdown. 2 nuggets before we get into the names. Mm-hmm. Last season, we saw the most receptions from the tight end position in the history of the NFL. Oh. The most receptions from the tight end position. But we also saw the fewest receiving touchdowns from the tight end position since 2011. Sam Laporta was the only tight end who had more than 6 touchdowns last year.
Wow. Rookie. Mr. Irrelevant for our league, if I'm not mistaken. Last pick in our draft.
Like Nick Smith, hell of a pick. Let's get into this countdown, boys. Like we said, it's a top 10 tight end countdown today, but we got to give you 5 names right outside that top 10. From 15 to 11, we have Cole Kmet, Pat Freiermuth, Dallas Goostert of your Eagles, Brock Bowers, the rookie from the Raiders, and Dalton Schartz from the Texans. Max, if you had to pick one of those names that just missed our top 10, pick one of those names who you would want most on your fantasy team this year.
I'm going Dalton Schultz. It seems that he and C.J. Stroud had a little bit of chemistry, especially some big game. There were some big games. Okay, it was definitely a hit or miss. Like some days it would be like, oh, dude, he put up 15 fantasy points, and then the next week he put up 2. So, I think they have some good chemistry. I think he's great in the middle. He had Dalton Schultz. We forget that he was in Dallas. Okay. And when he was in Dallas, he was great with Dak Prescott. Okay. I had him on my team. I was really happy with Dalton Schultz. But now I understand there's a lot of mouths, right? A lot of mouths we got to feed there in Texas. But when the cornerbacks are pushing around the wide receivers on one of those days, sometimes you just got to make some quick dump downs, and Dalton Schultz will be there for that. Hopefully, this is a guy that can give you at least 5 catches a game, maybe 50 yards. That's not too much to ask for. That's not too much to ask for.
I definitely like Dalton Sharks too, but like you said, Max, I think he's a little lower for me because of the mouse.
Mm.
A lot of mouse to feed in Houston for sure. Dan, give me your guy. Are you going to surprise us with going somebody else than your Eagles, or are you going to go with Goose Dirt?
I have a personal love Dallas Goedert, great guy, but out of that list, I'm most interested in Brock Bowers.
Mm.
The Raiders don't have a ton of mouths to feed, and this guy's a freak athlete. He showed us, if this was a different draft last season, Brock Bowers is a top 15, top 10 pick. And this guy has all of the mechanical skills that a Travis Kelce, a Mark Andrews has, but he's only shown it at the collegiate level. So you're taking that risk, but he's the biggest mouth to feed on the Raiders. So I really do think, take that risk. I'd like to see what he gives me this season.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. What Bowers did at Georgia, my goodness, a lot of tutties, and I heard they're lining him up all over the place, lining him up at receiver, and also Devontae Adams quote tweaked something on Wednesday. So that Bowers, man, if he, I mean, we don't see a lot of tight ends getting picked in the top half of the first round. So this guy's got a lot of draft capital, like I always say, but I like Brock Bowers too there, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
If I got to give you one name, I'm going to go Pat Freiermuth, just for the simple fact that he could be the number 2 option for Pittsburgh behind George Pickens. And if you're the number 2 option as a tight end, you got upside. You got upside. You could be started, streamed. So I'll give you that. We'll see what Pittsburgh does at quarterback. Doesn't seem like they're sure yet.
No. Justin Fields, he did like Cole Kmet. All right, he did toss the ball to Cole Kmet quite a bit. Not enough to start Cole Kmet on your fantasy team. Put him on your team, just in case of a big game. But if that tapers over to Pittsburgh, maybe Pat Freiermuth has a good year. And that's, of course, we don't even know. They might be doing a 2-quarterback system. We have no idea. Who knows what Mike Tomlin wants?
It's going to be tough in Pittsburgh. Not too far from you there, Dan. What do you think the Steelers do at the quarterback position?
Oh, I think Russ is going to come out week 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to be the consensus, but I think it's a mistake because he's ass cheeks.
Let's get into the top 10 now, fellas. The number 10 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast this season is going to be Dallas Cowboy, Jake Ferguson. The 25-year-old was tight end 9 last season, playing all 17 games. He caught 71 balls for 761 yards and 5 tutties. Dan, I see you smiling over there because you really brought Jake Ferguson down. You got him at 15th.
Oh my.
Max, you got him at 8th.
He's a Cowboy.
Oh, that's true too.
He can kick rocks, man. He's not going to live on my roster, and he's a dirt ball, man. He plays dirty. He spits in players' face. Get out of here, man. No thanks.
So Dan
suspended half the season.
Dan is totally out on Jake Ferguson, 15th. Max, you got him at 8th. Why could Jake Ferguson be on your team this year?
Look at the Dallas lineup. All right. We got CeeDee Lamb. Who else?
Outside of Brandon Cooks?
Brandon Cooks, who's in his 30s, right? 30s now. Ezekiel Elliott. What, he's going to get dumped downs left and right? No. Jake Ferguson might be the second option, okay? In a pass-heavy offense, I want a piece of that. I know. Dan, real quick, I got a question for you. If you had a chance to draft CeeDee Lamb, are you not taking him because you're like, fuck the Dallas Cowboys?
I had the number 2 overall. We were just given our draft positions. I had number 2, and I traded to number 6 because I refuse to have CeeDee Lamb on my team.
Traded back.
I know he's going to be right there.
My
I
goodness.
don't need him. I'd rather go down to 6 and get better capital down the line. But no, I don't want CeeDee Lamb either. That's the main reason.
Wow.
I'm not going to watch the Cowboys and root for that.
Traded back in the drafts. Nice. Boys, I'm the highest here on Jake Ferguson. I got him 6th.
Oh,
I got
baby,
him 6th, okay?
baby.
He had 25 red zone targets last season. Max, you just brought up Dalton Sharps when he was in Dallas. A lot of tutties with Dak. Dak likes his tight ends in the red zone. Jake Ferguson had 25 red zone targets last season. That led the tight end position and was third in all of the NFL. Jake Ferguson could be pushing for double-digit tutties. Second option for Dak. I got him sixth. Dan way out on Ferguson. The number 9 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast this season. Going to be a breakout tight end from last year. Cleveland Brown, David Njoku. He's 28 years old now. He was tight end 6 last season, playing in 16 games. He caught 81 balls for 882 yards and 6 tutties.
Nice.
On 123 targets. All of those numbers by far were a career high. True breakout for Njoku here. His 81 receptions were tied for 5th at the position. His 6 tutties were tied for 2nd at the position, and his 123 targets were 3rd at the position. Njoku's 10th for me, 9th for Max, and 9th for Dan. So we're all right there, 10-9-9. Max, tell me about David Njoku for the Browns.
I'll never forget last year. I think I was facing Zach. Zach had Njoku, and I was having a big game. I was feeling great. And then Njoku, I believe, had 2 touchdowns, and that might have put him over the edge to beat me. So I was upset because I was like, what? Fucking David Njoku, you kidding me? He hasn't done anything all season. And this is the game that he had 2 touchdowns, and then he might have broke out after that. He might have, because he started out slow. Njoku did start slow, and then he picked up towards the end of the season. So I like him. This guy's ripped. This guy can bulldoze people over, and he's athletic. I've seen him jump over players. I like David Njoku a lot.
He was my sleeper in the division last year. I drafted him. I got greedy. I got impatient after, like you said, that slow start, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and I dropped him. And darn it, but David Njoku, a breakout season. What do you think about Njoku, Dan?
Yeah, I think it comes down to his quarterback play a lot too. I mean, which Deshaun Watson are we going to get this season? But I do like him. He's a freak of an athlete. So like Max said, this guy's jumping over people like not every tight end is doing. So I like him. And he fits right there around that 9 mark where, it might not be the worst tight end to have on your roster, but do you want Njoku versus some of the other names we're going to talk about? I don't know.
Yeah. The number 8 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast this season. A guy with a lot of promise, a guy that we saw a lot rookie year, and we've been waiting to see something from him since. Atlanta Falcon, Kyle Pitts. He was tight end 13 last season, playing in every game. He caught 53 balls for 667 yards and only 3 tutties on 90 targets. Kyle Pitts is 7th for me, 11th for Max, and 6th for Dan. Dan's the highest on Kyle Pitts. Why do you still have promise for Kyle Pitts, Dan?
Kirk Cousins. I just see him. He doesn't have a lot of talent on this offense quite yet. I mean, he's got Bijan that he can dump off to, but they need a middle of the field guy, and it sounds like the Atlanta coaching staff wants to get the ball to Pitts. I think this is his breakout season. At least I hope it is for him. He's got the skills, and if there's anybody that can do it, it's Kirk Cousins. Going to be dumping the ball off to him left and right like he's Justin Jefferson. So let's see if that can happen.
Yeah, like I said, Dan, you're the highest on Kyle Pitts. Max got him 11th. Got Kyle Pitts 11th. We saw 1,000 yards from him as a rookie when he had Matt Ryan. Now he's had a bunch of queefs. Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota. He was hurt his sophomore year. Max, why are you out on Kyle Pitts?
A few reasons. Okay, first off, I drafted him last year. Okay, I think with my 6th round pick, I said, you know what, I'm going to go for a tight end. I want to fill that slot. It might have been a 6. It might have been a 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Ouch.
And he queefed. He definitely queefed at 13th. At the end of the season, I had Jake Ferguson that slid into that slot. All right, so Jake Ferguson was starting for me towards the middle of the season, while Kyle Pitts was sitting on my bench. I dropped him. I said, I'm done with this guy. I don't want him. for years now, when I was nerdy, I mean, we're nerdy enough because we're already discussing all of this right now. But when I was really nerdy, I would actually listen to fantasy football podcasts. Okay. I don't do it anymore because this is the podcast right here, boys and girls. It's right here. I would rather listen to your guys' opinions rather than someone else's because it's the exact same fucking thing. We know sports just as much as everyone else. Okay. Anyway.
Damn right.
But for years on those podcasts, at least two, they were saying, "Oh, this is the year for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going to have a good year." And then as the year went on, they're like, "Is this the breakout game? Is this like for weeks? If there's a game that's going to be a breakout, it's this week." And he never did. I'm done. I'm done listening about Kyle Pitts. I don't want him. There's a handful of guys that I have on the list I'd rather have than him. You guys can have Kyle Pitts.
I got him 7th amongst tight ends. Mainly, like you said, Dan, the Kirk Cousins addition. I really like that. Hopefully the Achilles is good for Kirk. And he's still so young. Boys, he's still 23.
True.
He's still 23. Travis Kelce had 0 career receptions at the age that Kyle Pitts currently is. Oh. Travis Kelce had 0 career receptions at the age that Kyle Pitts is right now. I'm not giving up on Pitts. Cousins coming in, he could be the number 1 option. We failed to mention Drake London is going to be involved a lot there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're a little higher on Kyle Pitts than you, Max. Mm-hmm. The number 7 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast this season. Another breakout tight end from last season. Jacksonville Jaguar, Evan Ingram. Going to be 30 years old next month, fellas, but he was tight end 2 last season, playing in all 17. He caught 114 balls.
You kidding me?
That led the tight end position and was 4th in the NFL. 114 receptions by a tight end was 2 shy of the NFL record for most receptions by a tight end in a single season. Zach Ertz, for your Eagles, Dan, in 2018, put up a $116. Evan Ingram, he had 963 yards and 4 touchdowns on 143 targets. He set career highs in receptions, receiving yards, and targets. 3rd in yards, 1st amongst tight ends in targets. Hell of a season. Dan and I, we're in lock here. We got him 8th. Max, you're the highest with him at 5th. Breakout season last year, almost 30. Why could we see Evan Ingram on your team this year?
Oh my goodness, 114 catches last season? You guys kidding me? You guys only want to look at him. You'd rather have Kyle Pitts? You'd rather have Kyle Pitts, who hasn't done shit in his whole career other than that rookie season with Matt Ryan? Stop.
1,000 yards.
Stop it. Evan Ingram might be the number 1 option for Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has some great chemistry with this guy. He loves throwing it to him. And Evan Ingram, man, he has shown that he's a very consistent tight end. For 2 years now in Jacksonville, he has been consistently throwing to Evan Ingram. So I'm telling you right now, he's a top 5. He's going to be a top 5 tight end. You're sleeping on him if you don't want him. The one thing I want more, those touchdowns. Let's get those touchdowns up. 114 catches and great, but what do you have? Six touchdowns? 4, 5? 4 touchdowns. 4. Yeah, geez. 4. That needs to go up. Hopefully they worked something out to get him in the red zone. But I'm really happy with Evan Ingram. Heck yeah. If you want to talk about age, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, we've been talking about him for years. He was in like mid-30s, and obviously last year was his year. Was like, well, whatever. He's done. So, yeah. Well, anyway, those are the two names I know for years that we were always talking about. These are the top tight ends. Well, guess what? They were in their 30s too. All right, so I'm not worried about that.
No touchdown upside for Evan Ingram. 24 tutties in 99 career games. He didn't score until week 13 last year. How
many touchdowns did Kyle Pitts have? How about total? How many total touchdowns has he had in his career?
6 in 44 games.
Okay. Okay.
So not too far off the pace of Evan Ingram.
Okay.
Evan Ingram last season, just under 40% of his total fantasy points came in 3 games. 40% of Ingram's points came in 3 games.
Okay.
No 2 boom or bust. I think we got to have a bet here. Evan Ingram, Kyle Pitts, since we're talking about
put it down right now.
One beer. Says you already owe me 3, don't forget. One beer for Klingen over Edie in the draft.
That's right. Okay. I do owe you on that.
Put 1 brew on the line, a nice brew bet. We're going to call it brew bet. How about that?
I like it.
Dan, you're back there with me, Evan Ingram in eighth. What do you think about Evan Ingram?
I'm afraid of what the Jaguars are going to put forward this year. And Evan Ingram being kind of the highlight of their team last season. Trevor Lawrence didn't pan out to be anywhere where he was drafted last season. And Evan Ingram kind of was the only option that he was going to. I just see regret. It's just regression written all over his name for me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm scared. I don't think he can do what he did. He's not going to have 114 catches this season. That's not going to happen.
Nobody. Nobody
maybe
at that
he ups
position.
his yardage, but no. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So I just don't see it. And with less injuries on that wide receiving core as well, we'll see some regression there.
I think I'm kind of feeling the same way with you about the Jaguars. Jaguars? People say it different.
Jaggers.
Philly, we say Jaguar.
People say it different, but I think I really only want Travis Etienne from that team. I think that's really the only guy I'm going to have. But hell of a season from Evan Ingram.
Real quick, would you take 80 catches from your tight end?
Oh, that's pretty good.
I'll tell you right now, he'll be getting that. Okay, he ain't getting half. Like 114 divided by 2. He will be getting 80 catches.
Sure. I like it though, calling it brew bets. A lot of people call it board bets. Let's call it brew bets.
I like that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. The number 6 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast this season. This guy, man, he's got a lot of fireworks. Real boomer bust here. San Francisco 49er. George Kittle, going to be 31 in October. He was tight end 5 last year, missing one game. 65 catches for 1,020 yards and 6 tutties on 90 targets. Those 1,020 yards led the tight end position. 6 tutties were tied for second at the tight end position. Max, you're right in the middle for George Kittle with us. You're 7th on him. Dan, you're the highest with him at 5th. I'm the lowest. I'm 9th. I'm out on George Kittle, I guess, boys. Very good. I like George Kittle. I like like I said, fireworks. The dude can go off for 3 touchdowns in a game. We've seen that plenty of times. 18 missed games in 7 seasons, so you can pencil him in for 2 or 3 missed games. Yeah. And he had 3 or fewer catches in 10 out of 16 games last year.
Really?
3 fewer catches in 10 out of 16 games. That's not enough volume. Purdy's not chucking it around 40 times. You got Debo to feed, Ayuk to feed if he's there, CMC to feed. Purdy's not chucking it 40 times. 3 or fewer catches in 10 out of 16 games from George Kittle last year. I like George Kittle, but somebody else can have him. Dan, you're the highest on him at 5. Why do you like George Kittle?
I just think you have an elite offense. You have the best, possibly one of the best route runners and blockers. And he gets rewarded for his blocking from his coach. I mean, this is somebody that I really think, like you're saying, the 10 games where he's had under 3 catches, but he can become the focal point of the offense in the other 6 games. And those are the 6 games that you draft him at number 5 for, right? I mean, you're not going to get an elite 10-point scorer every single week from your tight end. You're getting those 6 games where he is the best player on the San Francisco, offense, and that's where you draft him at 5 for me.
Yeah, definitely. There's a handful of games every year Kyle Shanahan draws up that Kittle's the number 1 option for sure. Max, the boom or bust nature of George Kittle. Right now, he's going in the mid-6th round on ESPN.
Wow.
Are you spending a mid-6th on George Kittle this year?
No way. I'm not taking a 6 for that. I did not know he was going mid-6. I can't do it.
Tight end 5.
I did my first mock draft yesterday, actually. Just fucking around. No rankings. I didn't do anything. I just went for it. I got Evan Ingram in the 9th.
Solid.
All right. I'll take that. I'll take Evan Ingram in the 9th rather than going 6th round for George Kittle. Oh my goodness, no way.
Good value there for Evan Ingram. The number 5 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast this season going to be Arizona Cardinal Trey McBride. He's still 24, boys. He's not going to be 25 till November. He was tight end 7 last season, playing all 17. He caught 81 balls for 825 yards, only 3 tutties on 106 targets. Those 81 catches were tied for 5th at the tight end position. Boys, we're pretty close here. I got him 5th, Max 6th, Dan 7th, 5, 6, 7. I got him the highest. Once Kyler Murray came back, Kyler played 8 games last year. Boy, Trey McBride, he was cooking with Kyler. Three out of those 8 games, Trey McBride, one of them, 8 for 131 yards, 8 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown, and then 10 for 102 yards. 3 big games there out of 8 with Kyler. I like him. I think he's the number 2 option, obviously, behind Marvin Harrison Jr. Some solid draft capital, number 55 pick. I could see Trey McBride on my team, fellas. I picked him up after I dropped Njoku last year. Tight end 7 on the season. Solid. I was happy with Trey McBride last year. Pick. Now with Kyler Murray, 2nd year off of that ACL, more chemistry. I like Trey McBride in the top 5, fellas. Ooh. Dan, you're the lowest on McBride. Why aren't you getting him this year?
I think that the Cardinals that we saw in the back end of 2023 were a beaten up team with their star quarterback returning, and they relied heavily on McBride. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he had like a ridiculous target share. It was like something like 27% for a tight end. I mean, outrageous. And now you have Marvin Harrison Jr. coming in. You have a healthy offense. You got, is a Michael Wilson going to show up? I think that it's going to be a more well-rounded offense coming out of Arizona, even though they still won't be a good team. I just don't see him being he's still a target for me. I mean, I would love to get him as a tight end 7. I mean, I think he's a good player, and I would love to have him on my team. But it's just I think he's just a little bit high on some boards for me, especially going as a tight end 4 right now.
Yeah, I like I said, I might have Trey McBride on my team. Max, there was only 2 tight ends last year to average over 2 yards per route run. Travis Kelce and Trey McBride. Why could Trey McBride be on your team, Max?
So there's 6 tight ends starting now. Well, Evan Ingram was in there too. Sorry for me. 6 tight ends that I'm happy with any of these guys. Trey McBride is the last one for me, obviously. And I like his youth. I like it, just his hands to be able to catch the ball is fantastic. Okay. I like, Kyler Murray's back. I know Zach said many, many times that he can't see over the line. Kyler Murray's too short. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. But he's quick enough to scramble around those big dudes and hopefully toss it to another big dude in Trey McBride. If he's available, yeah, please. I'll take McBride at a 6th, 7th round. I think that's where probably he's going, right?
McBride right now is going mid-6 on ESPN. Yeah, right. Just 2 picks before Kittle. So I'd prefer McBride to Kittle there in the mid-6.
I would definitely take McBride over Kittle. Oh, yeah.
The number 4 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast this season. We're going out to Buffalo, boys, and Dalton Kincaid. He's going to be 25 in October. He was tight end 11 last season as a rookie, playing in 16 games. He caught 73 balls for 673 yards, only 2 tutties. Those 73 receptions were the 4th most receptions ever from a rookie tight end. A lot of potential here, boys, out of Utah. 1st round pick, let's not forget. Me and Dan, we both have him at 4. Maxie, you're the highest on them at 3. You liked Dalton Kincaid last year. Why do you like him again this year?
I thought about keeper. Keeper for a little bit.
Really?
Low percentage. Let's I know. Let's settle down. Let's all settle down.
Jeez.
Yeah, sorry. Don't bust in your pants. Sorry, don't bust in your pants. Tighten your diaper.
Jeez, a diaper. Right. I had to borrow one from Sam from last year.
Dalton Kincaid, I'm telling you right now, boys, he might be the number 1 option in Buffalo. Okay. I was waiting so long for weeks for them to kick Dawson Knox out and be like, oh, let's put some more talent in because Dawson Knox sucks. He's a good blocker. He's a good blocker. Don't get me wrong. But he is not a catching tight end. All right. Dalton Kincaid is an athlete, man. He has great hands. He has good speed. I saw him trying to jump over some players too, throwing people down. I'm telling you right now, Dalton Kincaid is going to be a big time pick in our fantasy draft, and I want him. If there's one there's obviously a couple tight ends I would rather have, but if I have the option, I'm going to take him. I'm telling you right now, I'm bringing him back. Let's go.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid, all in the top four. This top four is all top four, the same guys for all of us here. And so Dalton Kincaid is definitely in that top tier for all of us. You bring up Dawson Knox. I'm not worried about him either. Only 22 catches for a buck 86 and two tutties last year. So give those two tutties to Kincaid here. And yeah, the wide receiver options for Buffalo: Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman. Dalton Kincaid has the chance to be the number one option. Dan, why could we see Kincaid on your team this year?
Oof, that number one option from Josh Allen, that is an attractive position to be in.
Yeah.
I really like Dalton Kincaid. I'm rooting for him. I had him on my team last year. I'm hoping that he slips in my draft so that I can snag him, because he actually ended up being my flex last season for a few games when the rest of my team decided to get injured. So I'm high on this guy, man. I really hope that I'm able to get him this year.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, the number 25 pick out of Utah. The Buffalo's going to use him.
Uh-huh.
The number 3 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast this season is going to be Baltimore Raven Mark Andrews. Going to be 29 next month. He missed 7 games last year, but he was tight end 5 on a points per game basis. He also caught 6 touchdowns, which was tied for second at the tight end position. Dan and I both have him at 3. Max has him at 4, so we're all right there. Danny, why do you like Mark Andrews?
Elite offense, similar to having a Josh Allen. You got a Lamar Jackson throwing you the ball. The only thing that kind of scares me about Mark Andrews is the injuries the past couple years, and a lot of talent around him, which he hasn't had in the seasons where he finished as a top 3 tight end. You know, he's got a lot more receivers, and he's got Derrick Henry running the ball behind him. I could see some regression, but I still think that he has the talent, and he's just a perennial top tight end. So you can't go wrong with getting a Mark Andrews. Is he drafted a little high? Maybe. But I'd still love to have him on my team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had Mark Andrews, and I wouldn't mind having him this year. I'm not really worried about the injuries. It was a snapped fibula last year, wasn't it? I believe he only missed 5 games in his first 5 seasons. 5 total missed games in his first 5 seasons. So broken leg, can't really predict that. His 4 seasons in the middle, 6 years. So his 4 seasons in the middle: tight end 5, tight end 1, tight end 5, tight end 2. Mark Andrews, if he's healthy, I think he's still the number 1 option for the reigning MVP. I like Mark Andrews. Max, you going to get Andrews on your team this year?
Not before Dalton Kincaid. I have Dalton Kincaid ahead of him. I'd rather have that option. I really do. I like Mark Andrews a lot if he's available. But yeah, I'm taking him.
The number 2 tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast this year, the reigning tight end 1, Detroit Lion, 23-year-old Sam Laporta. 86 catches last year, fellas, for 889 yards and 10 touchdowns on 120 targets. His 86 receptions were 4th amongst tight ends and the most ever from a rookie tight end. His 889 receiving yards were 5th amongst tight ends. His 10 tutties were 1st at the tight end position and tied for 4th in the NFL, and tied Big Gronk for the most by a rookie tight end.
Wow.
120 targets were the 5th most from tight ends last year. He was a fucking league winner. Max, you already brought him up, Mr. Irrelevant in our league. Hell of a pick. We were all sleeping on him last year, but damn it, we got our first trifecta of the day. All 3 of us got him at number 2. We're not sleeping on him this year. Danny, why could we see Sam Laporta on your fantasy team?
Just a massive human being. And when he runs, he gallops like this horse down the field. And it's romantic to watch this just beast of a human just plowing through defenders. I'm big on Sam Laporta's just athletic skill set. He's also a fantastic blocker. He's so young, and he's got a lot of talent around him, so he gets hidden. You know, they're able to get him the ball up in the middle of the field where an Amon-Ra St. Brown is running the other direction. I mean, you got an elite offense and an elite player. He's super attractive, and I really hope that he slips down a couple draft spots to me down there. You know, in that second, third round. We'll see what happens.
Max, you going after Sam Laporta this year?
Oh yeah. The thing that makes me nervous though is how high is he gonna be?
O-
Go ahead, go ahead.
On ESPN right now, early fourth.
Ugh. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. You got to get your running backs. You got to get your wide receivers. I know we literally just said this could be your league winner. We literally just said it. So it's like, well, they go get it, go get it. But man, if you have a starting running back or like Sam Laporta, like I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head. Like, okay, Joe Mixon for Houston, right? Or Sam Laporta. It's like, fuck, because Joe Mixon is at least a flex play. A solid wide running back too. I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head right now. I don't know if I can go that high for a tight end. I don't know. Maybe I need to change my way of drafting if I want to win. All right. So, but I don't know. What about you guys? Are you drafting a tight end at fourth
Ah,
round?
I
Ah,
can't, I can't. We literally just talked about if you got one of these guys, it's like a free square in bingo. But damn it, we can't be sold on Sam Laporta after 1 year like we are sold on a guy like Travis Kelsey, who obviously we have at number one. Dan, you spent in the early fourth round on Laporta Potty?
I think I would. I would say 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, I was high on the Travis Kelsey. I was taking, I was the one who was taking him even in the end of the first round. I don't know.
Damn.
I felt crazy. Let's go wild. Let's get the tight end out
Juicy.
of the way.
Juicy.
I don't like focusing on finding that tight end. It's the only spot in fantasy football where you can't go to waivers and find somebody who's an everyday starter pretty much any season outside of maybe last with Kincaid. I was able to snag him off waivers. But it's like I'm willing to do it. If it's fourth round, absolutely. I want Sam Laporta. I want that pressure taken off of me for the rest of the season so I can plug him in, forget about that position, and I'll focus on the waiver wire with the wide receivers and running backs.
It's a strategy that we're gonna have to think about. We're gonna have to definitely think about. The number one tight end for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast for the 2024 fantasy football season. Damn it, some people might be surprised, but we got another trifecta here. All of us at the top of our boards. Travis fucking Kelsey. Yeah, he's gonna be 35 in October. That's old. That's old, but damn
yeah.
it, Kelsey is. I mean, I don't know if we need to argue it, but he might be the best tight end to ever play the game of football. Tight end 3 last season in 15 games. He caught 93 balls for 984 yards and 5 tutties on 121 targets. 93 catches were third amongst tight ends. 984 yards were second amongst tight ends, but his lowest since 2015. 5 touchdowns were his lowest since 2019. 121 targets were fourth amongst tight ends, but his lowest since 2016. Now, a couple of those I said lowest since then, but Travis Kelsey's worst years are better than most tight ends' best years.
Exactly.
So let's not think this guy is slowing down. 10 years as a starter, the last 10 years, tight end 3, tight end 1, tight end 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 7, 8. My God, this guy is a franchise player, been a keeper damn near for a decade in our league. We all have him number one. Danny, tell me what you got on Travis Kelsey.
I'm not going to spend the draft capital on Travis Kelsey this year, but he's going to be. I think he'll be up there.
Yep.
If he's not the tight end 1, he's going to be the tight end 2, 3, 4. Like you're not wasting a pick by taking him, but I've been so attached to him in the past, and I've been like, I need to draft him. Well, how am I going to get Travis Kelsey? I can trade my position to get him. No, I'm not doing it this year. I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to take a Sam Laporta in the fourth round, or Evan Ingram. I'm starting to come around on after listening to Max talk about him. I'm starting to think there's some value there, but he is the tight end in the NFL. He's the guy that everybody looks to. He's able to run the gadget plays. Kansas City's going to get him the ball. They're going to shovel pass to him. He's going to score touchdowns. I think he improves on last season's performance for sure. But the guy's 35, and I've had my love affair. It's time to move on.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see some positive regression from the Chiefs offense this coming season. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was quarterback 8 last year, so he's going to have a revenge year. I know they're the back-to-back Super Bowl winners for Pete's sake, but the stats and the numbers weren't really up there like they've been. Max, tell me about Travis Kelce, why he's at the top of your board, and are you spending a mid-third round pick on him?
Dan, quick question. Are you a Kansas City Swiftie? You got a shirt? You got some lipstick? You got red lipstick with that?
Lipstick.
I was upset. I'm done. We've moved on. I've broken up with him. Taylor can have him.
Yeah, right. So yeah, you tossed out all those numbers about Travis Kelce. You know, he had somewhat of a down year, kind of, when it comes to Travis Kelce numbers for him. Yeah, for him. And I think it's because of all the media hype. Okay, I shat on Travis Kelce a lot last year. I'll be honest here for this podcast. When we were first starting out, I made a lot of the Kansas City Swifties and all of that stuff because he was in every commercial. He's with the biggest pop star in the world, who's a billionaire. You know, I said it since the beginning that they will make it to the Super Bowl specifically because of that relationship. Look what happened. And I think that's out of his head now. All right. I think that's out of his head. I think he's ready to just start focusing on football, not commercials, not even Taylor Swift. Maybe a proposal. Maybe a proposal's coming. Okay, who the fuck knows? I'm doubting it. By the way. I just don't see it. Maybe I think they maybe will propose, but then after that, they'll break up. You know, and more media.
She
hype.
proposes to him. She proposes to him.
Oh, that probably would happen. that probably would happen. But until Travis Kelce shows me that he's just done, you got to go for him. Last season did not show that he was done. All right, regress numbers. 93 catches and 900 yards. I mean, come on, you're not complaining about that. So yeah, no doubt. Quick question, Cole Breezy. Do you know if Kelly is keeping Travis Kelce?
I believe she's still on the fence. Tough call. She's got a couple guys all right there in the same range, but she's had him forever. So I why would anything change? I guess she's had him forever. 35 in October. Got to think about it. Well, that's going to do us, boys, for this bonus episode, this tight end countdown for the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast this week. Really quick, going through it. Number 1 tight end for us, consensus, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride, George Kittle, Evan Ingram, Kyle Pitts, David Njoku, and rounding out the top 10, Jake Turd Ferguson. 5 names after that were Dalton Schartz, Brock Bowers, Dallas Goostert, Pat Fryermuth, and Cole Kmet. Dan, give me one name quickly. Give me one name that we didn't talk about that you're most excited about.
Looking at my list here,
You got
Kiggy
somebody
could potentially show something, right? I mean, down there, Matthew, don't you love the Titans? Kiggy?
I really was on him last year, and I hope what I was thinking last year can be this year. Chigaconquo.
I hope so too. I'm rooting for him. Yeah.
Max, give me one name.
I don't know.
Pass. I'm good. I'm good.
Okonkwo, yeah.
No, pass on giving you another name. Outside of the top 15, we're going to the top 20 where I put frickin' Taysom Hill, Jonnu Smith, Tyler Goose. No, I'm good.
There's still one name that both of you boys have up there that I'll mention, TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
You boys both have him up there, but I will tell you, I do not have him in my top 20. I think I got him about 22nd. He had a week 16 ACL and MCL, boys. Week 16 ACL and MCL. He didn't have surgery until around the Super Bowl. Now, a lot of people are talking about drafting him, putting him in an IR spot if you got an IR spot in your league, and if you don't have an IR spot, you're queefing. But I'm not burning a draft pick on TJ Hawkinson.
No. This is a late pickup after the draft when you're like, like Trevor, I took 2 kickers, so maybe I'll go pick him up.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, that's going to do it. Dan, thank you for coming out, brother. Anything you got for the people before you come back and see us next week?
Eat more cheesesteaks.
Eat more cheesesteaks.
Nice.
Max, get us out of here. Put us to bed.
Thanks everyone for coming out to the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast. Continue to like, comment, and subscribe. We love you all. We are here located on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, freaking Facebook, Instagram, and X. Okay, so you can follow us on there. Please leave it in the comments how you like these episodes. Who do you guys believe is your top 10 tight ends? Because you're not going any further than that. You're not going any further than that. Give us a top 10. Leave it in the comments, everybody. But Cole Breezy, man, you're sleeping on Evan Ingram. All right, I just got to bring it up one more time, guys. You guys are sleeping on Evan Ingram.
We both got him at 8. You got him at 5. Evan Ingram, like you said, he's been good with Jacksonville, but I'm sleeping on Trevor Lawrence, and adding Brian Thomas Jr. That's a big body. Led the NCAA in tutties last year, I believe, was 17. But
Yeah.
definitely we got a brew bet on that one.
Bring on the brews.